Hi guys, I'm Tania and this is my February wrap up and my March TBR. I read 8 books in February, which I'm really happy with, and the first of these was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. So I finished off the Infernal Devices series and I really enjoyed it. Like, so far, definitely better than the Mortal Instruments. I don't actually have a lot to say about this other than that I really enjoyed it, but I was really happy with the resolution to the love triangle and that she found a way to work that in a way relatively acceptable and happy for kind of all the people involved, because the last book I read that had a love triangle in it I just hated. I swiftly and unsurprisingly moved straight on to City of Fallen Angels, and I was actually pleasantly surprised because there's been a lot of hate for the second half of this series and I actually enjoyed it more. I think it was that there is actually less Jason Clary in this book, which I found an absolute relief because they are the two kind of angst-driven main characters that send me round the bend. I enjoyed that Simon and other characters were brought forward a lot more in this book. But yeah, I ended up giving this 5 stars, possibly just because I was so surprised that I enjoyed it more than the first half of the series. And although I had other things to read, so I shockingly didn't move straight on to City of Lost Souls, I am really looking forward to finding out what happens in the next book. Next up I have the 3 books that I talked about for my catch-up during the Project TBR readathon. The first of these was Darius and Twig, pleasantly surprising. A lot more character and thought-driven than I expected rather than plot-driven, and was consequently much better than I was expecting. Gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I then read The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Yeah, I think I pretty much summed up my feelings about this book in the other video about it. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading more of Neil Gaiman's work and hopefully accidentally coming across different bad guys instead of his other mother characters. It was probably just an unfortunate coincidence that I read Coraline and The Ocean at the End of the Lane as my first 2 books in a row. But yeah, 4 stars. Although I didn't finish this book during Project TBR week, I did finish it before the end of February, and that is Daphne du Maurier's Jamaica Inn. I really enjoyed this book. It had a moment when I thought it was a massive anticlimax, and then actually it was kind of a false sense of security anticlimax and built back up into something that I was not expecting because I trusted the wrong characters. I guess you could describe this book as quite slow. Everything builds up very slowly. You kind of start out thinking, okay, they're smugglers. That's not that bad. Why is everyone so terrified? It gets a bit worse. You're like, okay, people have died, but I still don't understand why they're that scared. And then you find out what's really going on and it's like, okay, yeah, bad people, beware. I don't want to spoil anyone in case you want to read this book, but the way a certain character is written, I think in the present day you want them to just be being described that way because it's the only way when she was writing that people would have known how to look at them, and if you're reading this book you're going to end up working out who I'm talking about. They end up being so much more than that, and I wanted to trust him just because I wanted it to be a kind of description of the times and was incredibly misled by that willful, trusting stupidity of my own part. I think the ending that I was expecting for this book would have cleared up the main plot, but the ending that it actually had sorted out all the other characters so much better that the ending that it has is the perfect ending for it. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. So the final actual novel that I read this month was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and this book was insane. It shows the interconnection between the lives of people who knew one man who was a famous actor before effectively the apocalypse happens. And what I really enjoyed about this book was that it wasn't just a dystopia set in a future where the apocalypse has happened and that's it, you're there, it happened in the past, done. It jumps back and forward in time between people that knew him before and people that are connected to him after by having maybe known him before and stuff like that. I absolutely adore books that tie in random different lives that you wouldn't think were connected and then gradually brings it closer and closer together until it's just one big interwoven web. This was that. I can't really describe the writing style, I was just so immersed in it when I was reading it. Although this is following people that knew one guy, it also ends up consequently following a troupe of Shakespearean actors called the Travelling Symphony, and I find that really cool. As an arts student, the idea that people would try and keep up the arts after global catastrophe is really cool. I can only just say really cool. I don't know what to say about it, but it was really good and you should all go and read it. 4.5 stars. So I actually took a break in the middle of reading Station 11 because I had a little bit of a graphic novel craving. So I snuck into Beth's room and borrowed Saga Volumes 3 and 4. Beth waited very patiently to be able to get a copy of 3 and I just kind of nabbed them off her when she's finished with them. I love this series. Considering it has its moments when it's a bit like gross and gory, I really enjoy these. They're kind of like my light-hearted relief from some of the other books that I'm reading. I really enjoy them. There's not a lot to say. Everyone is loving these and I am also loving them, and I gave them both both 5 out of 5 stars. As for my March TBR, I'm thinking about maybe not being quite so prescriptive in dictating my TBR, as if I don't finish the books I feel guilty at the end of the month, but I'm also still kind of working out my reading speed, having been through a massive slump while I was doing my masters. So I have books here that I want to read this month, and hopefully I will read them, but if I don't, I'm gonna try not to beat myself up about it. So this might be my last TBR. I don't know, we'll see what happens in the future. It's been enjoyable. So first up, I want to finish the last 2 books in the Mortal Instruments series, City of Lost Souls and City of Heavenly Fire. Mainly I want to finish them because obviously I'm enjoying them, but I also want to finish them to get this craziness out of my life. Where I've been reading other books from my TBR shelf during February, I've actually really enjoyed it and realised that those books are there for a reason. I've bought them because I want to read them, and I've been enjoying that. So to get this mad Cassandra Clare fever out of my system right now would be a very, very, very good thing. So I am aiming to finish these 2 this month. Next up, I have a book that has been on my TBR shelf for the longest time, and considering who it's by, I feel like I should have read it a long time ago, and I've just never gotten around to it because it's not quite the same as Harry Potter, and now you probably know what I'm talking about. It is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I still haven't read this book. I just can never quite get myself in the mood for it. I'm powering my way through the TBR shelf, and I think that if I do this month, it will set me up really well to keep on going. I feel really bad since the television series of this has now come out, which feels for me like it's highlighting just how long I have waited to read this book. And the 4th book that I hope to read during March is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. I bought this at the same time as Station 11, as they were both on the buy one get one half price, and this has sounded really exciting. I'm pretty sure I went into Waterstones looking for Station 11, not this, but it sounds really good. So this is set in Amsterdam in the 17th century and follows Nella Ortman as she moves in with her new husband, and from what I've heard is an arranged marriage. But he presents her with a gift which is an exact miniature of the house that they're living in, and that starts to reflect their day-to-day life. But it could be that their day-to-day life is showing the miniature and all that sort of thing. It sounds all dark and cool and like the sort of thing that I would have loved to have read when I was younger that I've just gotten out of. So hopefully I will enjoy this. I will also continue to plug away at the Three Musketeers. It's really good, but I'm going so slowly and I feel bad, so I'm just gonna stop mentioning it until I finish it, hopefully. Also, the books that I've picked to read this month go really nicely together in colour, I think. The Miniaturist kind of links this by contrast into these. I don't know, I think they look really cute and beautiful. So yeah, this has been my February wrap up and my March TBR. I hope that you've all had a lovely weekend. I will see you soon. Goodbye! That makes, just shut up, Tania.